All right, let's do it. Lots of exciting stuff going on in today's content. So starting out by looking at the closest star, and welcome to the Daily Space Weather. Congratulations on realizing our channel exists. So this is the closest star in two different ionized iron spectra. It's the ultraviolet light emissions in 211 and 193 angstroms. Coronal holes rotating in, and there are a major number of them. There is some geomagnetic unrest in the forecast and lots of stuff going on, including solar flare watch, coronal mass ejection warning, continuing, and so on. So here's another wavelength, the a little more aesthetically pleasing wavelength of 171 angstroms. My personal favorite. Another active region rising down here. We'll analyze that toward the end of the video. Sunspot 2859 is showing up as a beta class sunspot. I thought it was alpha class, but apparently there's a South Pole oriented field there. Most of the umbra are North Pole, so that significantly increases the likelihood of solar flares. So here's the magnetogram. And this is a 24 hours of data here. This has largely remained pretty much stable. All right, and let's continue on. We'll let that run through one more time here. Great close-up view of the field with Sunspot 2859. There were some C-class flares that came out of it. We'll show you the X-ray flare situation momentarily. The highly aesthetically pleasing 171 angstroms. The radio flux has actually come down from yesterday. It's now at 77 solar flux units. And a solar flux unit is 10,000 joules if memory serves. Here's the black line, which represents the radio flux over the past year. And we're seeing a little uptick here as solar cycle 25 takes its good old time, ramping up to higher levels of activity. So here's the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard, and you can see some geomagnetic unrest forecasted here for the 24th. We may see some a little bit earlier than that. I won't argue too much. If you want to look at it yourself, head to the Space Weather Enthusiast dashboard. Check out the low solar wind speed. First, we'll go to seismicity. We saw another major quake here over the past 24. It was downgraded from a 7.1 to a 6.9, I think. There's the location of that at the South Sandwich Islands. So let's go to the list here. And it was because of our automated tsunami alerts that we even noticed it. We didn't send out alert to patrons or anything like that because, well, we're still automating our systems. So it didn't look like the kind of earthquake that would cause a tsunami, so we didn't really worry about it too much. Nevada saw an extremely shallow quake here at 1.2 kilometers above sea level, 1,200 meters, which is like around the highest point of Pennsylvania in altitude. And Japan saw a 5.2. Here's this 6.8. This came in at 0 dark 45 universal time. 1:15 a.m. today on the 22nd. Japan also saw a 5.3 there. Let's hope those aren't foreshocks. And if we miss anything, just leave us a comment. Let us know. We do read all comments. Next, volcanoes. Let me press refresh at Volcano Discovery. So Shivaluch still exploding on the Kamchatka Peninsula, producing a 15,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Suwanosejima, 9,000-foot ash plume there, the Ryukyu Islands. Luatolo, flight level 100. It's a 10,000-foot ash plume. And I apologize if I've sped things up. It's because we've got an important meteorology video to go through today about hurricane hype. Check it out if you haven't seen it. It premiered before the Daily Space Weather. And there's a playlist for it at youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. So Fuego, volcanic ash not observed in satellite from Guatemala. Nevado de Ruiz in Colombia, exploding flight level 190. It's a 19,000-foot plume of ash. Revenador, 15,000-foot plume of ash there in Ecuador as it explodes, and Sabancaya in Peru, a great reminder as it produces through explosive activity a 26,000-foot plume of volcanic ash. Not to pole vault the caldera. Please don't pole vault the caldera. Head to smashamash.com, visit our links, support our channel as our Patreons do. Patrons, thanks very much. We'll be making a video soon about our switch over and phase out of Patreon, not because we don't like Patreon. We're very grateful for our Patreon contributions. We just need to go our own way because of things like software at smashamash.com/smashteam. More details on that coming in a future video. You can find it all on the homepage, smashamash.org. We'll redirect you to this page. You can find our social media, links to our merch shops, and so on. And you can find the Smash Team by just clicking this link. There is still a free level. There's also a $2.99 a month tier and a $9.99 per month gold member, as well as a paid-up one-year membership with complimentary merch. The GOES X-ray flux here, we saw the largest flare of the past 24 just happened while we were doing show prep. At about 10:20 Universal Time was the peak flux of that C-class flare. No proton strikes, no coronal mass ejections headed our way yet. The coronal mass ejection warning continues. And little side note on that, it may seem weird that we've put out a coronal mass ejection warning here at the Smash News Network, least busted name in news. And it's been up for like 4 days now. And the reason is because it just hasn't happened yet. So knowing what I know about the way coronal mass ejections propagate and so on through experience, and having dozens of correct predictions, I can't turn off the warning because the warning's not turning off until a coronal mass ejection happens or until some other features change. Let's get back to the data. Here's the GOES magnetometer over the past 3 days, and you can see some sawtooth patterns here as the Earth switched into a South Pole-oriented current sheet. Here is the heliospheric current sheet in terms of polarity, and you can see the Earth now solidly in this red South Pole current sheet. That one right there, having just left the North Pole current sheet. And there could be some indecision going on with that. We won't conjecture about it. We want the video to be a little shorter today. Here's a line-of-sight ecliptic plane field plot. Again, there could be a North Pole current sheet headed this way. There is an active region rising in the southeast as well to remember. And we've got some massive coronal holes starting up already as we forecasted. For the past about a week, we've been forecasting an uptick in coronal hole structures. So here you can see a trans-equatorial coronal hole kicking up in the east. It's South Pole oriented, shown in red. The sun's B field shown in blue. Thanks again to our new subscribers as we tie together data and help our viewers to attempt to understand the physics. So here is the detected sunspot groups and solar flare probability monitors. Again, this one is beta class apparently, beta gamma for that matter, which means likelihood of major flares has gone up precipitously. And you can see it's showing up as beta gamma on this. This is like an automated system here, the ASSA. I don't remember what it means. Something about automated. So yeah, we've also still got Sunspot 2858 showing up there. I think it's largely degraded to nothing. So the thing to keep the eyes on is the Sunspot 2859. KP index currently at 1. We see a very weak solar wind. Let's get a look at it. It's barely over 300 kilometers per second. Only 305 kilometers per second for the solar wind speed. Solar wind density a little bit elevated here yet at 15.26. Don't be surprised to see this drop off and this come up at the same time. Otherwise, fairly nominal data there on the solar wind. Geospace magnetosphere movies are still mucked up. They're jammed. We won't be showing them. We will show a diagram of the solar system. So happy full moon day. It's August 22nd. We'll advance this 1 week to show you where the solar system will be then. And there's where things will be on August 29th. We've also put up a star chart for all of you astrologers and astronomers out there. I head to in-the-sky.org for my star charts, and I face mine to the south. You can face it whatever direction you like. But since I'm currently facing the south, and so is my sofa, I like to face my star chart to the south. We've also drawn in the ecliptic and the galactic plane there. Ecliptic in yellow, galactic plane in blue. And the sun will cross the galactic plane between the constellations Gemini and Taurus today. I don't know if you care. Let's do a quick cosmology segment. It's integrated into the Daily Space Weather video. And once again, I would remind all of our viewers that the Smash News Network has a playlist with over 200 videos in the realm of cosmology, so perhaps check that out. There's lots of cutting-edge stuff in there. youtube.com/smashamash/playlists. So let's blast through a cosmology segment. Today's cosmology segment is about Ophiuchus. I forget what it's called. R.S. Ophiuchi. So this is an artist's rendition, and this is a red giant star near a white dwarf. It's a binary pair, and every 20 years or so, the red dwarf sends a bunch of hydrogen onto the surface of the white dwarf. The red giant sends a bunch of hydrogen to the surface of the white dwarf, which causes a thermonuclear explosion. And that's the basis for this illustration. Yeah. R.S. Ophiuchus. I don't know why they have an artist's rendition as the astronomy picture of the day, since it's not really a picture. I guess it's a picture. Anyway, continuing on. Happy birthday to David Junebug. Yes. Happy birthday, Junebug. We hope our videos are entertaining and enlightening, and that you're interested in things like astrophysics as a result. Today's random number is 67, and at the Neil Gehrels Swift-Bat X-ray Observatory, entry number 67 is this quasar. Actually, it's a blazar. It must be located at a great distance. We'll show you some imagery of this. These are the hard X-rays. Here's a 30-day chart. Here's the 16-year chart. It's a fairly consistent X-ray source. And here it is in infrared. So this is on the 2-mass. It's a pretty dark area there. It does show up on gamma. Let's go up the electromagnetic spectrum. So that's it on the 2-mass. Here it is on pan-stars. You can see it is a fairly dim optical source, an indication that it's quite far away. Blazars have their galactic jet oriented directly at us, the observer. So this galaxy is also known as 4C 15.05. And blazars are indeed galaxies. Next, we'll zoom in ultraviolet to take a look at this blazar. And almost no ultraviolet signature. I would say no ultraviolet signature whatsoever. And here's the gamma ray environment. And there is a bit of a brightness sort of near it. And that is most likely from that blazar, as that is a very empty portion of space right there. And we'll show it again in optical wavelengths from the pan-star. So we'll just zoom way in. Stop your grinning and drop your linen. It's pant stars. Oh, it's not pant stars. It's pan stars, folks. And you can see how distant this blazar most likely is. A bunch of optical spectra around it may be showing us some structure of the galaxy there. That looks like it's maybe at the same focal length as the object in question here. Galaxy 4C 15.05, otherwise known as QSO B0202 plus 149, our random cosmology object of the day, and that's our cosmology segment. Next, looking at the environment around Earth to check electrons, and we don't see any high levels, no charging hazards. Here's the one-year chart of the electron flux, and we're at the lowest levels of electron flux that we've seen all year right now, as this coronal hole wind stream shock front continues at high density and low speeds. We're expecting the speeds to jump up, and that's going to keep electron flux at low levels, I would suspect. So there's a 3-day chart of the electron flux. Here's the forecast model, and you can see we got even lower levels than NOAA forecasted with this yellow diamond yesterday. I would say we're going to be at similar levels here. I'm sorry, we got a little lower forecast than we got the observation. So I'm just expecting it to remain at quite low levels. Next, here's a diagram of the Van Allen belts. We show it daily to give people a visual idea of what it is we're looking at. When we look at the total electron content forecast, so you're looking at the air column all the way from a geosynchronous satellite all the way down to the Earth. And when they have to talk through when the satellites have to communicate through a lot of electrons, you can get massive GPS errors, for example. They usually occur around the equator at noon if you're a new viewer. Thanks for tuning in, and congratulations on realizing that our channel exists. Anyway, electrons are looking fairly normal here. No major chaos kicking up in the total electron content forecast. Next, we'll show the ionosphere. First, a diagram of the atmosphere, including this red F over here. That's the 300-kilometer F ionosphere approximate area. And we show the ionosphere daily as we want to see the data tied together. And we see some low-frequency anomalies here over places like southern Africa, the southern Indian and southern Atlantic Oceans. Let's pull up the latest image. That is from 11 o'clock Universal Time. Things looking more normal at that moment. Here's the anomaly map showing departure from a 30-day mean or median in megahertz. And you can see largely low-frequency anomalies here as the map is more red than blue. And here's the latest image on the anomaly map in megahertz. Fairly normal here, some minor low-frequency anomalies over northern Canada once again. By the way, we're going to do a meteorology segment today. We haven't recorded it yet, but if you're viewing the daily space weather video, the meteorology segment premiered beforehand, entitled Hurricane Hype. So we just did another fantastic meteorology segment. If you haven't checked it out, please do so. There's a playlist for it, youtube.com/smAsho/playlists. Look at our old videos. There's a teaser. It's the water vapor map. There are forecasts involved, and let's do bonus features, starting with the El Teide, Spain ground-based solar observatory. Massive filaments around the solar disk. We saw some motion in this one, and this one is still hanging on. It looks like it may have become unanchored, but in any case, it's still there. Will it collapse? Will it eject? Let us know in the comments what you think. We've got a coronal mass ejection warning for a reason, though. Here's the NASA GOES SUVI 284 angstroms recent imagery. This is the area to keep an eye on, and when I say eye on, oh, well, the pun is intentional. So here's what Sunspot 2859 looked like when we did show prep. There's the magnetic field environment, and we're going to press refresh on both of these. And it's actually looking like it's degraded a little bit here. There's the magnetogram. It has indeed degraded a little bit. It still does have the capability to produce major flares. Here's some SDO browse data. This is multiple wavelengths, 335, 193, and 94 angstroms. Spectacular imagery there from the Solar Dynamics Observatory. Sunspot 2859. It's large, and it's somewhat in charge. So we'll close out the video here at 304 angstroms, ionized helium. And thanks for tuning in to today's daily space weather video. May that solar wind be at your back.